All right, so today on the podcast, I have the real deal real estate cowboy brand, my guy, Aaron Stel. He's an amazing luxury agent. Him and I have been friends for quite some time, so I'm super pumped to have you on. Welcome to the hot seat. Are you nervous?
No, I'm not nervous. I'm excited and I'm thankful to be here.
Awesome. So you are and are very branded as a luxury agent. So I know you do sell other things, but that just seems to be your wheelhouse. Is that still the case?
Luxury is my wheelhouse that I feel like I thrive in and that I'm always working towards. However, it is not my only product that I sell. But if I had to choose, yes, luxury would be it.
Luxury. And you recently, okay, so time is a funny thing for me. Recently, within this last year, moved to Compass. I was going to say in the last couple months, but I think it's been longer than that now, right?
Yeah, it's actually been about 16 months maybe.
Fantastic.
So, and that was strategic because I wanted to really grow in my luxury presence and brand, and Compass, I felt, was the company and the brand that would help me to get there.
Has it?
Yeah, actually, it really has. I feel a lot more confident in my marketing and my presence, and when I'm going up against other agents with that Compass brand behind me and the marketing material and the things that they offer.
Okay.
So it's been really helpful.
Cool. So one of the things I love about you, and we met, I don't know, a couple of years ago, really interesting how we met because I got a client that found me online and your team got a client that found you online, correct?
Correct.
And we just happened to work together and hit it off very well. So one of the things I've always loved about you, especially when I go into the office and see the team, is when it was your time to sit back and prospect, when it was your time to put the metal to like singular focus on what you had to do, you would close your door and you would start on your calls and you would update your CRM and just keep going with it. Are you still doing that to this day?
I sure do. Yep. I would say I'm in the office 3 days a week and I'm prospecting a solid probably 3 to maybe 4 hours.
Okay.
And when I'm in there, when I say prospecting, that is me with my door closed. I'm not saying not distracted, right? Because phone calls come in and out and whatever, but like I'm there to work. I'm not there to play on Instagram and do all that kind of stuff. I'm really there to try and get through my tasks. I'm very task oriented. So it bothers me to like look at this long list of people I have to get through, but I feel a huge sense of accomplishment as I'm getting through it.
You like checking those boxes.
I do. And like every day even if I'm not selling real estate stuff or my wife's giving me stuff that I have to do, I write a little checklist and it just gets checked off. Hold on, I think I even have one here. Look.
Is it?
Yeah, look,
you really do.
This is my one because I'm going to be working out of the car a lot today. So this is my little checklist of just like, okay, these are the people.
When do you make your checklist?
Usually first thing in the morning. Yeah, before I start checking emails, before I start calling and texting and doing all that.
Right on.
Because if I can get through all or 80% of that, I feel really accomplished
for the day. Which is really interesting about your personality because most people that are goal-oriented and checkbox, they're not necessarily a connector. So there's 3 ways to build trust with someone. You could be really charming, you could be a value-add person, or you could be a connector. You're a connector.
I'm all 3.
You are charming. You're charming. Your wife is a little bit more charming.
Well, she's a lot prettier.
But you are just a natural connector. Like the moment I met you, I felt comfortable with you. The moment I met you, I'm like, oh, dude, I'm going to give this guy a hug. Goodbye. Like, bye. And even today when I saw you, I'm like, hey, Aaron, like you're that person.
Thank you.
So it's super cool that you could be that connector personality, but still understand that this is a business and you have a checkbox to check off.
Right.
So when you're prospecting, who are you calling? What are you doing? there's something about text. Like, text is a great prospecting adjacent, is what I call it. It's a great, hey, how's it going? Oh, it was great talking to you 15 minutes ago. But the real rapport building is getting on the phone with someone, and even better, face to face with someone as well. So I love that. And I think it's such a miss these days where so many people want to do a text campaign or a drip campaign where they've never learned the value of that phone call and actually building and connecting with the person on the other end of it.
It's one of the hardest things to overcome because a lot of clients prefer text also. But my rule is if you have to go back more than 3 times for like back and forth the text, you just pick up the phone.
Pick up the phone.
Yeah.
Now, the other thing that you're really good at, and I've done open houses with you, I've sat in your team meetings, I've listened to you make phone calls. I personally struggle sometimes with picking up the phone and what to talk about. And I'm a value-based person. Like, I have to write out, okay, what are you going to talk, like the value they're going to talk about? Like, I have to have direction. Where you could pick up the phone and just take the conversation, and you probably don't even know that you do it, but you could just kind of mold it to that person, and you're okay with a pause to be like, so yeah, how is this going? Talk and then pause for a second. And how is this? So how did you learn that, or is that just innately you?
No, I think, well, one of the bigger things is, especially if I'm in front of my CRM, right? And I use Follow Up Boss. That's what I really like to use. Is the power of notes, right? Because I'm always looking at what my last conversation was or something that I know is important to that person. So I always try and bring it back to that, and it allows me to connect. So I'm not always starting off the conversation with, hey, just checking in to see if you want to buy a house or sell a house, right? Because everybody's doing that, and it's off-putting. So I always try and connect, at least on some personal level. And if I don't have those notes, right, or if I don't really have a connection, I am winging it a little bit, but I'm always trying to bring it back to some type of emotion. So if last week was Thanksgiving, right? I don't want to dwell, and I don't really want to hear about their Thanksgiving, right? But I'll ask them if they did anything significant. Like, I don't want to say, how was your Thanksgiving? Because they're going to say, it was good.
Right, it was good. Ate a lot of turkey.
Cool, great. And then I'll go straight into a sales pitch that they're not adding value or building rapport. But hey, was there anything significant that you and your family did over Thanksgiving? They kind of have to pause and think, and then they'll probably give you a little bit of an answer.
Okay, so that's money right there. If I could rewind and like replay it. 1, it's an open-ended question, number 1. 2, it's that pause, that thinking, and you are hitting on the human. You are forcing connection right there. So it's really cool to hear, especially in your CRM, and I'm a CRM junkie as well, that you're actually taking notes. You care enough to want to be able to connect with someone in your style. I've actually not seen to this date another salesperson, doesn't matter, lending throughout the core, local lending, real estate, I've not seen anyone do it the way you do it. It's not that you spin it, but how you take a moment to bring it back to connection over and over. I've actually left you a couple of times and taken notes for myself on how to do it because I'm just not used to it. And so I think it's fantastic to learn from.
So for me, it's also really difficult because I am a driver personality, and I want to get straight to the point.
I know.
Like
but you do pause. You do great with that.
When someone calls me on a sales call, like, I don't want the fluff. I want them to just tell me what they're calling for, and I'll give them the attention, right? But when I call other people, I have to build that rapport, and I do become genuinely interested. That's why I have to find something that I like about them, right? Or something that keeps me interested enough so that I'm not just going straight for the sales call.
Right. Now, where along your career, how long ago did you get in real estate or sales in general?
So I started like right out of college. But I really got into my full-time career in 2014. So 10 years ago.
And then where along the line did you figure this out for your personality, for how you connect with people? Where did you figure this out to be one of your superpowers?
2015.
Okay. Did you just recognize it yourself, or were you reading a book or a podcast?
No, I think I just recognize it, but I really think it's something that was instilled in me through my dad. My dad, he was the guy that everywhere we went, he was just talking to everyone. And when I was a kid, I remember it being kind of like, annoying. Dad's always talking to somebody. I was like, he doesn't even know them. And now I'm that guy to my wife
Say, are you that
and
guy?
my kids. Oh yeah. And it's not even that like I'm just friendly and making conversation to everybody. It's just easy to strike up conversations,
Right.
and I don't know. Or we go places and people want to talk to me, and it's not that like I'm the most interesting person, but they're like, "Oh, hey, Aaron," and then I try and be present with someone.
Right.
I don't like to just say, "Oh, hey."
You try to be interested,
Yeah.
not necessarily interesting and present with them. I love that. All right, so we do 3 days a week, and I'm going to ask you soon about what you do during the rest of the time because I also love and appreciate your balance, which I've told you for years. So what made you start with the CRM? What made you start with taking notes and making sure you had tasks and boxes to check?
When I first started, all I had was like an Excel spreadsheet or paper, and then I wasn't as organized. And then when I joined my first brokerage, which was Keller Williams, they said, "Oh, you need a CRM," right? So they gave me theirs that I don't remember what it was,
Right.
and I started using it and was like, "Oh, this is way easier to be organized." So then from there, I just never looked back, and then I got connected with Follow Up Boss, and that was in 2014. That same year I started, and it just kept getting better and better, and now I couldn't live without it.
Yeah, now you're an avid user of it. That's fun. I love it. All right. So do you try to meet these people for lunch? Are you inviting them to events? What are you doing outside of being just the advisor of real estate? And you've got over a decade of experience as a real estate agent. And what's your volume this past year?
This year, I'll hit about 60 million personally.
60 million personally, fantastic. You're a monster producer. So obviously you've got the experience of volume behind you. Um, what what helped you kind of get along this path?
I think that it was staying in touch with people and calling them. And again, checking in and having good notes and being interested in them and not trying to sell them anything after the fact, right? So these are past clients, sphere, friends, whatever.
Right.
And one, being knowledgeable about the market. Anytime I called them, I was being intentional. I wasn't just calling to check in.
Right.
Like I had a reason to call them.
That is your value based.
Right. So whether that was, hey, it's been 6 months or 12 months and your home warranty is going to expire. Just want to make sure that when you get that thing in the mail, you might want to renew it.
Okay, so that's another money tip. Like call when the home warranty is going to expire. On the lending side, call to shop their homeowner's insurance for them. Yeah, it's another just beautiful touch point for sure.
Yeah.
Okay, I love that.
But I feel that I've done that. And then through working with you, honestly, it's been more personal one-on-one or small events that have helped me to stay in front of people on a more personal level. A lot of it was just calls before, and if I'd see them out or something, or I'd gift to them, I would always gift to them. But you helped me to start putting together more intimate events that might be 10 to 30 people. Right? I would do a big event every year that was like 50 to 150 people. And that was fun, but I now like sprinkling smaller events, 3 times a year, where I'm more intentional about who I invite. And that has like changed, I think, my business and just the relationships that I have with my clients.
Which is awesome. Now, how, like, being on the phone and having a checklist and the events and just a relationship person, your phone can sometimes ring all the time. How are you balancing it?
I always try and answer my phone. I really do, because in this business, you kind of have to. And my family has been really understanding of that. And my wife has kind of been trained to know that that's like how I operate and how we as a family are able to do a lot of the things that we do while I'm not working, or that I might have to take a 2 to 5 minute phone call. Right. But if we're eating dinner and it rings, I'm not going to answer it. But I usually always call the person back. And a lot of times I'll call and it's a sales call and I hang up. Right. But for the most part, I answer the phone. And but when I'm not at work, I'm spending time with my family. I'm spending time with my wife. I'm doing a few hobbies. I don't have a ton of hobbies. I really don't. Like my hobbies are spending time with the people I care about. I have a vacation house that I go to at the river that is kind of my wind down place.
Yep, you have great pictures there. Always see them.
Yep. And then over the last like year and a half, I've started horseback riding.
Oh, have
You know, if I wear the hat, I got to be able to ride a horse.
Yeah, come on now.
So, so I do that once a week, and that is like a nice stress reliever for me. And during those times, I like kind of leave my phone and I check them and I get back to people.
Sure. And you know, there's something to setting boundaries as well, because if you never have a boundary, then you burn out. I've done it. You've done it. It's not a great time. What I learned from you in the last couple of years of being your friend is how intentional you are with your family, and the whole inception of me having that family calendar and booking out. Like, I'm almost done with my 2025 calendar. Like, I've got my 3-day, 4-day vacations. I got big, like, you know, me being a career mom, I had to do it a little bit differently, a little bit more intentionality. We do have some spur of the moment things, but I learned that from you. It's I can be this big producer, but you know what? I'm going to be for them here too. So if I have to spend a culmination of an hour to 2 hours here and there picking up the phone, as soon as that phone goes down, then I'm back right in it again with my family.
Your kids and family don't care how big of a producer you are. They care that your job affords the lifestyle that you can provide, but they want your time more than anything.
More than anything. And it's I texted you yesterday, and you were at, was it Universal yesterday? You were for your son's birthday. Yeah, I mean, you didn't pick up my call, which you didn't need to, but you texted me back immediately, so you were still in full communication with me.
Yes.
And you still had a great time with your kid. So not only, again, one of the biggest producers in the Inland Empire, but you have a very healthy marriage, and you've got kids that you love and activities that you do, and you take care of yourself. I mean, it's if I were to design what a real estate agent should be, it would be you at the top of that list on how to be both husband, dad, and business owner. So you do a fantastic job with it.
I appreciate that. One of the things that I can say for anyone who's watching that might not have that balance yet, or still newer into their career and feels like they have to answer every phone call.
Yeah.
The boundary that I've set is I don't take calls really after 6 p.m. at all. Even if it's a client that I know is calling me, unless I've already pre-scheduled that to let them know. But if they want to schedule a call with me, I say, listen, I'm available up until about 6 p.m. After that, we can talk tomorrow. If they send me text messages at 7, 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock, I see it, of course, on my phone because I'm around. I don't respond because I don't want them to think that they have access anytime.
Yeah.
Agents, same thing. If agents are calling me and texting me, I don't respond at that time.
And nothing can get done at night anyways.
You know, and I would be even better if I would just go and set my phone away.
Right, so you didn't see it.
Right, so I didn't see it. But at nighttime, I'm also communicating with my other family members or my friends who are calling me. That's the time that I'll use my phone for other things.
Right, and I'm sorry, but friends and family are part of your sphere as well. Yeah. It's just a different type of sphere. Yeah. Okay, I love it. So what is 2025? I mean, you hit some goals this year, and you continue to hit goals. So what is the big thing that you want to change or adjust going into 2025, if anything?
2025, I think what I'd like to do is I'd like to do more events with my clients, because this year I scaled my team down big time. Mm-hmm. So it's really just me, an assistant that works part-time with me. Mm-hmm. And then I have now three team members that are pretty self-sufficient, mm-hmm. that don't need me breathing over them every day, right? Way different than my 18-person team that I had a few years ago when we met. Right. So next year, I'd like to do some more events focused around my clients, just more, again, one-on-one or one-on-4 type things. So, and maybe one of those every month or every other month.
I love that.
Just because when I look at where my business comes from, it's past clients, sphere, and referrals. Mm-hmm. Very little comes from online lead generation, any of that stuff. Some of it does come from open houses, but then those people become my clients and friends. I can tell you that I look at like who my close friends are that I keep in touch with. A lot of them are industry people, and not necessarily like industry you and I, right? But you're one of them. Right. But it's people who I've met through helping them buy or sell a home through real estate. Because, you know, like there's a connection.
I love that. So is there anything that you're going to for sure keep doing in 2025 that you just see consistently work?
I'm going to continue networking through other agents. This year was a huge breakthrough for me. And I think a lot of it did have to do with joining the Compass Network.
Right.
I'm one of the only Compass agents in my market that produces. And because we don't have a physical office in like the Inland Empire, the closest one is now Glendora or Pasadena. I just closed my 20th referral transaction this year.
So you identified a need that you had within Compass for the Inland Empire, and then you said, okay, this is what I'm going to do with it. I am going to really just get to know these other agents and actually be a referral source for them.
Yeah, and I haven't even done that great of a job at it because I didn't realize it was going to work that well. But the Compass Network is so good that when people have clients, like I get all the time, oh, my clients just moved to Florida. They need to sell their house in Rancho Cucamonga.
Sure.
And we looked at you through the Compass Network and you're the guy.
That's amazing.
So I need to do a much better job at networking with the LA and the feeder markets, right? Because it's funny, LA agents, they think that the Inland Empire is so far, or they think
it's really far. Keep thinking that.
or they think that like it's not LA. Like, why would I waste my time there?
It is not LA.
I'm like, my average price point's $1 million.
Right. I know.
So
you're absolutely fine. So what I love about you is, and your funnels, like my past clients, my database, my sphere, the Compass referral network, like your funnels at this point. You know your average purchase price. You know how you want to steer your business. You know how you want to connect more. I'm almost curious if you know your conversion ratio this year.
Probably not as well as you do. You probably know mine better.
But all around, you take your business very seriously and you tack it seriously, and at the same time, you're a great family man. So I think this one is going to be a great podcast. Okay, are you ready for my hot seat question?
I am.
Okay, let's do this. Hot seat question number 1. When people think about success, they often think of wealth. What does success mean to you, and how do you balance that with the pressure of making money?
So previously, I always thought success meant wealth and things. Now, I think it does have a little bit to do with it, but as I've gotten older and I've accumulated more wealth and things, time is definitely the biggest thing, especially as I'm watching my kids grow up so fast. Like, time is definitely the biggest thing. So balancing that, just like we talked about on this podcast, is making sure that you give yourself time, you're present with your family, you're like, my kids are never going to say, Dad, I wish you worked more.
Right. Not ever.
Never.
Not ever once.
Never. And I can, just a quick example, I remember last summer, I took my kids on this amazing cruise. We went on like a 7-day cruise to the Caribbean. I spent a shitload of money on it. We did all this stuff. And I asked my daughter,
oh my God, what is their
I said, what was your favorite thing that we did last summer? She's like, Dad, do you remember when you and I practiced soccer in the front yard for 45 minutes? We worked on like practicing goals. And I was like, what about the cruise? She's like, oh yeah, that was fun.
Right. You're like, oh, okay. But it really is a thing, and it, I'm of the same boat. It's funny when you have newborns, everybody tells you, oh, it goes by in a blink, right? But no, it really does. My oldest is out of college, out of the house entirely, and I was telling you, I did this whole theme, Harry Potter theme for Thanksgiving, and it was partly to infuse a little bit of magic for them as well. So when they came over, they'd be like, wow, a memory. And it didn't matter the money or the time or the sacrifice. It mattered in that moment, seeing the smile.
That's powerful.
Yes.
Yeah.
And the time to see that, I think, is where it's at. I think defining success is having the time to be with the ones that you love is the best definition of success. So, well played.
And I would also say the relationship you have with your partner.
Oh my gosh, you and I talk about that a lot. We have very similar relationships, and just being present and best friends with them and open conversations. And we have a lot of clients that have gone through divorces, and we've seen it on an uptick recently, and so it makes it more important.
And I think by seeing that, we're even more hyper aware.
Yes.
And it makes me kind of reevaluate things sometimes to be like, I don't want to be in that position ever. and I love my wife, and I'm so grateful that she is with me and my best friend and the relationship that we have. And I never want to take that for granted.
Yeah, and that's a huge defining success because the kids move out someday and then it's just you and her. And so you want to do life with someone that you just simply enjoy being around. So yes, that's huge. Okay. So what was it like when you first started out? Did you have to struggle financially? Because real estate is hard.
Yeah.
So how many years of struggling financially did you have? And at what point, how did you get yourself out of it? When did you start feeling like, you know?
It was about 2 years. So when I first started in real estate, I just was like, I'm going to do it. I got my NMLS license.
I love that. Do you know that?
Yeah, and my real estate license in the same month.
Okay.
And I started at this little tiny Remax office. And my first year, I think I like co-listed or co-sold something with the guy in my office. He like let me help. It was his listing, and he let me take care of the buyer, even though it was like his deal. And then I did one lease. Okay. So I was struggling financially. We had just had a baby, our second baby, and I was on welfare. And I was like so humbled and just like I'd never been like that before. And we went to welfare. Crazy.
Did that drive you? Did that change your mindset?
Oh yeah. Like I was so driven. I was working crazy hard. That's when I switched brokers to Keller Williams, and my whole mindset shifted. I joined a team to kind of learn the ropes of how can I do this thing at a higher level, and going from that year making like 20 grand maybe, to the following year. 12 months or whatever, making 250,000.
Oh my gosh. To say that humbled you and changed your mindset, I think would be an understatement.
And that was a big thing for me to just be like, okay, I can do this. All I have to do is really work hard and stay focused. And it got us out of debt. It got us kind of just.
How often do you share this story?
Not that often.
It's actually a pretty and powerful story.
No.
It's something that I think because a lot of real estate agents struggle, right? And like they'll look at you now and be like, oh, Aaron Stel, like you can look up your numbers and see that you're a big producer, but no one ever talks about the humble beginnings or when you hit rock bottom. That's a really kick-ass relatable story, how you figured it out. And yeah, you are a humble person. So how you, like the journey of, everybody has that journey of being humbled. It's always, where did it come from?
Yeah, I think that was a big thing. And then I realize now, I look back on it, like I owe a lot of it to God. And at the time I didn't know that. And it was just something that that was kind of, I needed to happen. And I don't take anything for granted now. And if I know that if I were in a position like that again, I could do it again, whether it was in real estate or something else, because I had the support of my wife. And
his wife is amazing, by the way. I adore her. Like, super supporter, best friend. Sometimes she'll be like, I need you to do this, this, and this, which she needs sometimes.
She does. Yeah, no. And a lot of times she's the one who, when I'm feeling either down or overly confident, she'll bring me up or humble me. Yeah. I love her. Yeah.
She's great. Okay, so my last hot seat question. If this was the first year that you started, the first year where you only made, I don't even think it was 20,000. 20,000 is a lot back then. What would you tell yourself to do differently?
Get a CRM and really like try and add people to it. Work open houses every opportunity. People think that open houses don't work. I know agents now that don't do anything but open houses and they still do great.
Right. So it's really the CRM. It's having the follow-up, having the accountability of setting tasks, having the notes on it. I mean, it really is a customer relationship system.
And then having people to add to it. Right? You have to have people that you're adding in there. I would say avoid, getting caught in the because you're going to get 1,000 sales calls, people wanting to sell you leads and things that are just, there's no magic pill and there's no instant quick fix.
There is no magic pill and there's no instant quick fix.
No.
That's another very powerful thing you said. And everybody thinks they're going to get in real estate and make all this money. Like, it's not a linear path to success. It's chaos. It's crazy. It's 10 steps backwards and then 1 step forward and 20 steps backwards again until you figure it out. So I really appreciate you coming on this podcast. You did phenomenal. Myself, I took at least 5 golden nuggets away. So thank you for being here.
I appreciate you having me.
Always.